Today is Module 4, Lesson 12. I'm going to kind of quickly go through some of this. It's a lot of stuff is more review, kind of taking what we've learned with the multiplication with a fraction and a whole number and kind of putting everything together. Some of it has to do with order of operations, some of it has to do with creating expressions, but there is one problem that has quite a bit going on in there where they have to have multiple different answers. And so that is where students are probably going to get more tripped up and take a little bit more time on that. So on the problem set, I would assume that most have kind of done their number one on homework. Reminder, especially if you're new to watching any of these videos, that I do examples from the problem set, and it's not the same problem as homework, but most of them are very similar to it. So, for example, on this problem here, students are going to try to quickly solve this part and say that it's 17. They do not want to do that just yet because we need to create an expression. So they would have to understand that this is grouped up together. They're kind of working backwards with what some of the stuff that they have learned and working with strip diagrams with multiplication with a whole number. They need to remember to look here and see that they have a total of 3 parts here. So my missing number I'm looking for here is going to be a fraction. So I have a total of 3 parts, but they only want me to focus on how much one of those parts is. So we've got 1/3. So we would need to know that we are setting this up as 1/3 times parentheses 8 plus 9. They do need to have the expression, and then they are going to evaluate and solve it. I'm not going to solve it. I would hope that they would remember their GMDOS and remember to add and then take that answer and multiply by it. So for example, it would be 1/3 times 17. The next ones that they have are expressions that they have to make. They have had to do this before, but now we're including fractions in it, and the word of is also a keyword, but they do have to kind of catch it. Not every of is actually being used as a keyword. It's kind of tricky. Sometimes it's a keyword for multiplication, sometimes it's not. So, for example, they will come here and look at part A, and it says 1/6 the sum of 16 and 20. So if we go through here, we should know that sum is addition, and I'm going to say of is multiplication. The and on here, we need to know that that implies that these are grouped together. So if I was going to write this as an expression, I would write 1/6. My of should go with my fraction times my sum. My addition is going to replace the and. So 1/6 times 16 plus 20. And make sure you have those parentheses. And that's kind of what they're going to do with those. I'm going to show one that has it using of more than once. So here I have 2/5 of. That of would be used for multiplication. The product means the answer to the multiplication problem of 5, 6, and 42. So that of just wants us to find the product of these. So we would come here and replace and with multiplication. So I would have 2/5 times parentheses 5/6 times 42. Now, in my class today, I went ahead and let the students tell me that that was for multiplication. Oh, let me close that parentheses really quick. And then we kind of talked about it, and I asked them, look at this and say, does this make sense to write this and say 2/5 of, then multiplication again, and then parentheses 5/6 times 42. And they would tell me no, so I would tell them that means one of our ofs does not count as a keyword. So we would lose that and not write that with it. And sometimes they started catching and noticing, well, I have two ofs. One of them is not going to be a keyword. So I just need to know and understand how to use that. They do have another problem here, like number 3, that has them finding the product of what they have here. And then they need to find something that is equivalent. So there could be multiple different answers here that are the same. They're either going to need to multiply this out and find the final answer for this, and then work each one of these out and see if they are equivalent. Or, for example, here I have 4/5 times 7, and I have 7 times 4/5. They should know with multiplication that they can flip those and they are still the same. I have also showed my students to remember that that fraction line is another symbol for division. So they could even come here and say, well, I've got 4 divided by 7 times 5, and see, does it look like, or is it equivalent to what we would have here? So if they notice to do that, they don't necessarily fully have to solve everything out. But if they don't notice that, they're going to want to solve each and every one of them and pick the ones that are equivalent to that. I'm not going to go too in depth on this one. They just need to go and work out the left side, work out the right side, and then compare them and see which one's greater than, less than, or equal to. I believe they only have one of these problems because the next problem I'm going to discuss does take them quite a bit of time to finish. So, on their homework, they have a problem that is similar to this. It is going to take them a while because they are going to have to find the data for the 3 missing months. They are also going to have to make a dot plot as well, so it tells them to create it. I would strongly advise that if they have a way to access it on a computer, the number line is already set up for them. They just have to place the dots. If not, they are going to have to draw out that number line to do so. So, for example, on A, it says she bought 1/4 of July's total in June. So I would come here and be like, okay, I need July. So I need 2, 1/4 of 2. That would find my answer. So it comes out to be, what, 2/4, which would actually be simplified to a half. And so they can come here and say, okay, my information for June is 2/4 equals 1/2. I mean, they can keep them both. I do believe on their homework, if they do it on the Edge Elastic, it is going to have them simplify one that can be simplified down. So have them do so, especially if they're entering it in on the computer. I think it has options, so you should notice, oh, we don't have this answer, we can possibly simplify. The next thing after they go and find those 3 missing months, they're going to want to look at their fractions and make sure the denominators are all the same. On here, it's going to work out that way. Let me kind of show the homework one. On the homework, it's not going to work out that way where all of the denominators are the same. So they will have to make those denominators equivalent to each other. Another thing, they're going to want to take their improper fractions and turn them into a mixed number. Again, this is a mixed number, so they need to turn it in to look like that with a whole number and a fraction. So this will take them some time to do for this problem alone. If you have any questions, make sure you reach out to your child's teacher, and hopefully this helps some. I know I didn't work out many. Most of it, like I said, they should have that concept of what to do. I would hope so. They're really looking for some of those keywords. It's just more here. I wanted to make sure they understood that we're looking for those 3 missing, and then we have to turn our denominators all into the same, that we have to take our improper fractions, turn them into mixed number, and then they will in the end have to turn around and create that dot plot. Again, I strongly advise if they can do it on a computer and get to Edge Elastic to do it that way, because the number line's already set up. They just got to go put it in. I will say one more thing. If they don't remember what a dot plot is, it is a number line. I'm just going to this is not the correct answer, so don't try to put this in. But I would have a number line, and for example, I would say, well, here's 1, maybe here's 1.5. Here's a half, and I can say, well, on my data, I have, I should have 1 dot for a half. I've got 2 ones. So for example, pretend like August was 1 and December was 1. So I would put 2 dots there. So a dot plot looks very similar to this if they don't remember what a dot plot is. All right, hopefully this kind of helped. Again, I think a lot of it, they should be able to kind of go through. It just does have quite a bit of work here for today's homework, and hopefully they are very successful with it.